Welcome to the Rock Studios. My name's Thomas, and I was going to walk you through a couple of puppet basics real quick here. There's 4 that we're going to cover, and the first one we're going to cover is the first thing that anyone ever sees when you're bringing your puppet into your show, whatever it's going to be. I do want to state before we get started, we are using a Muppet-style hand puppet for all of these demonstrations. We'll get to rods in a later video, but for now we're just going to cover basics without rod arms on. But that's the style of manipulation these puppets use. So with our 4 basics, the first one I said, it's going to be the first thing that anyone sees when you come in with a puppet, and that is your entrance and exit, because they are related. So you need to put your puppet on, 4 fingers on the top, thumb on the bottom. My puppet friend Garb here. And for your entrance, and I remember it in 2 entrances and exits with two things. With your entrance, you start back like you're going to throw a football. So one arm right behind your back, straight up and down. Your body's still facing forward. My puppet's straight behind me, facing straight up and down. And then I'm going to walk up 4 stairs until my arm is fully extended. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. I know it's kind of hard to see him because just how the camera's set up and everything like that. But you saw the movement that I was making, which is what is important. Then for my exit, I'm kind of aiming the opposite. I'm going to aim for my opposite shoulder. So he's on this arm. I don't want to aim for this shoulder. I want to aim for the arm he's not on. So he's going to turn towards that shoulder and he's going to walk down 4 stairs again until he ends up cuddling with me. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. See, he's cuddled right in there like a nice little hug. So we start with that football throw. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we end cuddling. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's how I remember it, because it's just, you know, like that real hyper masculine football and then cuddling with your puppet. So, you know, it shows how you enter and exit there. So those are entrances and exits. Now, the next thing we're going to cover is one of my favorites, is actually lip synchronization, just because I like the word synchronization. That's why I like it so much. So, and that's really simple. It's just matching the movement of your mouth with the words that are coming out. Now, we as people, we always drop our jaw when we talk. We don't talk like this. It looks ridiculous. So your puppet shouldn't be doing this either. So we're going to be dropping the bottom jaw 1 time for every syllable that we say. Okay? So let's try that. We're going to enter football stance. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not going to put him fully up there so you can see his mouth this time. Okay? And then we're going to just count to 10 real quick together. Now, remember, it's 1 time for every syllable, and you want to make sure you're closed in between. That's part of lip synchronization, because your mouth doesn't start open when you start speaking, and with a puppet, it looks really bad. It's called biting your words if you do that. So, we're going to go ahead and count to 10. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we're going to exit. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like that. And you see, it's 1 time for every syllable. So on 7, there was a lot more mouth action than there was in the others, just because there's multiple syllables in the word 7. And that's all that lip synchronization is. It's just matching the movement of your mouth with the words that are coming out. The third thing that we need to remember with our puppet basics is your puppet position. Some people refer to this as your eye contact. Some refer to it as your blocking. Some people refer to it as lots of different things. But it's just where your puppet's positioned and how that relates to everything going on around them. So if you're just working with a puppet on a screen like this, you're just going to have them so that their body is fully seen by the camera, but not below. Because if I get them too high, it's really obvious that it's a puppet there, right? And we want to look like there's more going on. So we aim for a belly button. Most puppets don't have belly buttons. Secret, Garb doesn't either. But you aim for that belly button on whatever your stage is, whether that's your camera, you want to get some sort of screen, or you want to have some sort of level that you're actually balancing against when you're doing it on a camera. But if you're doing it on a live stage, you want to make it so that you're up to the edge of that stage at belly button height. That belly button, that's how high you're aiming for, is up to that belly button. So that's your height. So that's part of your positioning. You don't want to be sinking it from that position. You don't want to be raising up higher from that position. You want to stay at that level, like they're on the ground. The other parts of this, because this is a multifaceted one, is it also matters where your puppet's looking. See, he keeps looking at me because I'm the one talking. But if you're looking into the camera, you're looking directly in the camera, or if you're talking to another puppet, if you're talking to another individual, you turn. You also, if anyone any of you know anything about theater, you don't want to turn your back to the audience because this is not the appealing part of the puppet. You don't want to see this part of it. So even when I'm turned to the side, I turn just slightly to the side. So I'm not fully turning. To me, it doesn't look like I'm turning very much, but to the audience, it's very obvious that I'm turning in that direction with somebody speaking over there. So it's also paying attention to that. It's also paying attention to Puppet's eyes. This guy isn't the best example of this, but Puppet's eyes are usually about right here on people, and our eyes are high up on our heads too. So you've got to drop that wrist down. If you're looking at people lower than you, for sure, you got to look lower than you think you're going to need. And even looking straight ahead at a camera, I'm dropping my wrist. If I was just naturally relaxing my wrist, he's actually looking up here, but you guys aren't up there. So we want to drop that wrist a little bit so that he's looking right at you so that you feel engaged and, you know, like he actually cares what you have to say. So that eye contact, that height, that blocking of where your body stance is for where you're looking, things like that, that's all part of puppet position. How you're positioning your puppet so that he looks like a real person standing there. You also don't want to be leaning off to the side, which is a real easy one to do, or leaning in too much because then it looks really awkward. Or some people I've seen do their puppets like where they're trying to bend that wrist and they just bring it out to the side or into the side. You want to pay attention to that, make it loose and natural. It's just going to take practice for that to get really tied down. The fourth part of our puppet basics is our realistic movement. Now, realistic movement is a little bit more complicated, even though puppet position had a lot going on with it. Realistic movement has a lot going on with it too, but it's a lot more subtle. So the realistic movement of a puppet is the parts that make the puppet come alive. It's that part that brings the audience into real, you know, I know he's a puppet, but there's just something, he just feels real. He feels like he's got his own personality compared to other things. Simple things like this is not just standing statue still when you're waiting for your turn to talk in something. So like he keeps like looking at me or looking around, or he even like suddenly breathes or shrugs or things like that while just sitting here while I'm talking. Well, I'm doing all of that. You guys know that it's me, it's not him, but it makes him feel like he's actually here, present, paying attention to what I'm saying just as well as you guys are. So those little subtle things do it. Also, if you're doing something like a song, you don't want to have your puppet like doing this when you're doing All I Want for Christmas. Like that, it just doesn't fit the beat. But if you're singing like Jingle Bells, doing to the beat, right? So you want to have some of your movements actually match what's going on. So if he's scared, he's got to look a little bit scared. You know, shrink back a little bit, shake a little bit. If he's excited, he's going to be a lot more loose, a lot more free with his movement, stuff like that. So you want to bring in those little subtleties that you see in a real person into your puppet. So if he's going to walk with a camera, this is one of the things you really need to watch, because you've got to move along that edge. See? He's walking back and forth and it makes it look like he's got legs. If I'm behind a stage and I'm walking and I'm standing, it's easy because I just walk. A little bit of exaggeration to my movement and it gives him the movement he needs to be walking. If I'm kneeling, it's a little bit harder, but you still just do that exaggerated movement for his walking, and you can do that also when you're working at the stage like this with a camera. Some other things to keep in mind is once you start getting those rod arms in there, you want to know when to use them and when to just leave them alone. That's part of the realistic movement, but we'll get to that in a later video. Hopefully these 4 basics, entrances and exits, lip synchronization, puppet position, and realistic movement can help you get your program started and get it going a little bit better. If you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. Thank you.